Welcome to the Deadly Addictions channel. Today I'm going to be talking about As Above, So Below. I had gotten into a conversation with a friend who I don't see that much, and eventually we got to like, oh, what have you watching? And then we got into a conversation. He's like, oh, give me some ideas, what movies to like. So I told him about a couple of movies, and As Above, So Below was one of them. Now, I get a lot of impressions from people and get an idea of what they like. I love movies and stuff. And for years, we would have like TV show night, movie night. We'd watch a bunch of shows like Buffy and watch movies. And this movie is not your typical slasher type found footage documentary type movie, although it plays off the strengths of a found footage documentary type movie. But some people will like a slasher, like, Michael Myers, Jason. You might get a little more cerebral and out there. And there's some great movies like the original Nightmare on Elm Street. And then there is some real psychological thrillers that could border on like grotesque. Like one of the greatest movies ever, I think, is Seven. You might get a little more tamer with another one of the greatest, Silence of the Lambs, and The Shining. As Above, So Below, for me, is just one of those movies. It got me from the day I watched it. It sticks with me all the time. I love the concept of it. And talking with my friend, I was surprised that it's not on my channel. And there are other movies, like I even mentioned just now, that I think are the greatest films and some of my favorites, and not on the channel. So I might go back and do some of this. I used to do it when I first started. I did a Halloween, the whole series type thing. In any case, As Above, So Below was directed by John Eric Dowdy. We've never heard of him. Written by him and his brother, Drew, apparently. Um, well, to summarize the plot, just real quick, I'll go over it in more depth, but you got a archaeologist, scholar type woman, and she's on a search for the Philosopher's Stone, the flannel stone, whatever it's called in the movie at times. And it gets a group of people one of them is documenting her journey, her quest to find the Philosopher's Stone, and we got a small group of people in the French catacombs. And I think it's the first production the French ever let people film in the catacombs, because this place is real. And it's maybe not every single scene or special effect shot was shot there, but in general, they filmed on location in the catacombs. So it's really has a feel. The movie setting, it's very rare that a movie setting could be a character in the movie, and this is one of the best examples, I think. Now, even though you're delving into Dante's Inferno and maybe people's interpretations of it, you're gonna get a feel for like a little bit of Indiana Jones, Tomb Raider, which was an obvious nod to it. I think even the actress said something at one time about that. Real quick, I'll go into Perdita Weeks as Scarlett Marlowe. I love this woman. I think was she on a TV show, Magnum, the new Magnum PI, I think. She's amazing in this movie. I think Ben Feldman, I've seen him in stuff, but they have great chemistry, and I love the attitude, the characterizations of the two main leads and how they get, wrapped up in this huge adventure. Well, according to George, Ben Feldman, it's Perdita Weeks who gets everybody in trouble. And when he first comes into the movie, she's on a quest to find the Philosopher's Stone, like I said, and the opening scene is her finding, like a cipher key or something that'll decode this certain writing. And there was Rosetta Stone, and she can't translate like Arabic or whatever the fuck it's called, and Aramaic, and she goes to her ex, Ben, and he tells a story real quick, like stay away from her. Last time I was with her, I was in a Turkish prison, and then she says it's a jail, and then he goes, a jail in Turkey, and right off the bat, like this is the first. Well, the first scene is a little bit of excitement when she's going for the Rosetta Stone. She's alone, and she's in a country that'll really, bury her up in the sand, and a family or an old man lets her in who knows her father, I think, and you find out her father died, committed suicide. So that's a little bit of action, and she finds the stone and gets out before the government, the state, or whatever is demolishing wherever she was. I think she was in Iraq. So she's got the Rosetta Stone. She's got to meet her ex, and he's going to translate the Aramaic. And she's got her documentarian who's filming her. And as they're going to check out, and there's a little bit of, figuring out things and talking through clues and stuff. And I really love that. There's several movies that really hit home like that. And they really grip me, and I get into them a lot. And this one just happened to hit all the right buttons for me because it's one of my favorite movies. Then they go into these catacombs, the ones that you can get a tour for, and somebody tells her to look for a Papillon. He'll take her into the secret parts. One thing I did find out, because after I watched the movie, and I watched it so long ago, this is a movie I do know somewhat information about. Not like me staying away from trailers and not looking. There's a mystery kind of thing going on. You're not sure if from the second they start on this, there's a supernatural element to it. There's an interaction. Oh, so she gets to go to a club, and you see this woman who only stares. She's gorgeous, but there's something about her. Walks right past the camera. They go into this club and they meet Papillon. He's got a little crew, and he's going to take them into the catacombs to find the Philosopher's Stone. Mentions treasure. And again, I like every person they added to the movie. I'll get to my two gripes about the movie, like little nitpicks, but it's, to me, a really great way to start the movie. And this is not, like I said, a slasher horror. This is going to be a psychological thriller type, claustrophobic. Another great movie, The Descent. I love that fucking movie. A little different in premise and stuff, but you're going to be in these enclosed spaces and on a quest, like a treasure hunt type thing. And there are things involved like figuring out puzzles, or we get to the main thing is about each person's inner demons, let's say. And it has the elements that really excite me in the movie. Now, I'm all for, Jason, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger. Again, one of my favorites is Seven. And for some reason, I rank this up there with them. It's got everything I like. And I really am impressed by how they took these elements from Dante's Inferno and make them part of the movie. Because as they go in, it has to do with, the whole famous Dante's Inferno. And this gets to the point pretty quickly in that sense, although there's a little bit of a lull, and I think on purpose, which I enjoy, but I could see it in other people and in some I've watched the movie with. Eventually, it ramps up at the end, but from beginning to end, I'm just totally into this movie. You start to figure out the shit going on. They find a cult in there singing music. They got to go through tight spaces and crawl over bones. Apparently there's 6 million corpses in the catacombs. It just makes me think how Sorry, people, okay? If I believe in ghosts and spirits and stuff. Can you fucking imagine the logic, like, the delusion you have to go, oh, yeah, there's a ghost in my house and whatever, this and that, and get this whole aspect. But yet, there's 6 million corpses under France, and we don't have cameras watching ghosts interact and do shit. Anyway, it's just a fucking nitpick. Nothing to do with this movie, though. We get this quest to go on the Philosopher's Stone. You know the little character arcs that are going to grow in here, I thought were really done well, because you got to figure things out. And apparently Scarlett Marlowe, Pretty in Weeks, is really all about the quest and her, drive and determination to the detriment of other people. And sometimes that's great about a character who, look, she's beautiful, I'm attracted to her. She's obviously smart, she's got everything. But her attitude is clearly selfish, and maybe not like for money and whatever, but for the finding of the stone. You find out that people questioned her father, he committed suicide, and even in the beginning, the old man who helps her in the beginning get the Rosetta Stone he says something like, your father was crazy, everybody who hunts for the Philosopher's Stone is crazy. So you've got these elements in his baggage coming in, but the little elements that really surprised me were the things that I picked up and didn't pick up from and even having to go back and rewatch it, which is how the catacombs, or, the plains of hell, Dante's Inferno, impacts this story in an amazing way for me. A new twist, a personalized demon type thing, because you can go into this and plot reveal, story, whatever element I might give away here, but in general, it's a hunt for the Philosopher's Stone. You wind up going through the gates of hell, going through Dante's Inferno, and it's not done exactly, or they use every single thing. They use elements of it, but the main drive is righting the wrongs of your past, and it doesn't have to be a real wrong. And what I mean by that is, if you don't confess to your sins or own up to them, you're going to die in this place, basically, is the sum of it. And one of the characters, when it's confronted at the end, because you got the survivors and they say, we have to rectify our past things, whatever. One of them says, when I was younger, my brother got trapped in the caves. I went for help and he drowned. It's my fault that he drowned. Now we know, and you can gather from some of the other stories, that we know that not everybody is a bad and wrong person. He was a kid. His younger brother was trapped. He went for help. He didn't get in time. He got lost or whatever. It wasn't like, he started playing Pokemon on his phone or whatever. But that guilt, that hurt is with him from childhood, and now he's an adult. It doesn't matter if it was right or wrong. It matters what's going on inside him. And I thought this premise affects everybody, and it was done, in my opinion, amazingly. As Above, So Below is a captivating movie for me, using aspects of storytelling and borrowing from here and this and that, using a found footage like documentary type style, but adding the character of the catacombs. It's history. It's real history. The history of the Philosopher's Stone, the little character arc growths and the realizations of what's going on. One of my favorite characters. So my two gripes. Okay, I'm gushing about the movie, right? It's great in every aspect. They make the first mistake that for me pops out to me all the time is when the guy who's making a documentary for Scarlett does a camera check, and he's like looking at the person. They have a little head cam, and he's like, okay, camera one, and I thought that moment was a huge mistake. Now, by the way, these are nitpicks, really, right? But it's so jarring to me. Like, just keep the movie going. I don't need this actor's face on the screen. I don't care if he's well known or whatever. You broke everything in that moment. Now, the movie's so good, in my opinion, that it doesn't matter. But rewatching it over and over as I do, it's one of the moments I just roll my eyes like, cut this out of the fucking movie. I don't need to see him looking and going camera A, camera B, and reminding me what, of the bullshit. The second thing is, not everybody makes it. And besides the main two characters, their growth and their, journey through this fucking hell, I thought one of the characters should have lived, and the one of them that did shouldn't have. It's just, again, to me, I say, oh, the camera check was a huge, jarring thing, but overall, it's a minor nitpick and a little tiny bump in what I think is a great movie. And even the ending, I love the ending. This doesn't have to be a special effects spectacular, bombard you with huge things. I think it's the right element of suspense and mystery and somewhat terror, and a loud bang here and the jump scares can be well done. Some movies just overdo it and it gets to be too much for me in the most sense. But we've already got the atmosphere. It's a real catacombs. 6 million people are buried there. Well, I think they were moved. I think they were having problems and they moved all the bodies under France. So, again, as above, so below. It's maybe a series of videos I'm doing that'll touch base on some of the things that are not on my channel that really mean a lot to me. And this movie is definitely one of those movies. Again, I don't know who the director, John Eric Dowdy, or his brother, Drew Dowdy, are. When I went to do this, even all the times I've watched this, I really don't know what he's done. And I thought he would be, this is a movie you think would be breakaway for me, and I would think that it would be done and do amazing. It didn't do amazing. I think it got somewhat of a cult follow. Well, it's a 2014 movie, so it's got time to build up that cult following and stuff. But I would say this is one of those sleeper things that got away, that it's regrettable how overlooked this movie is, in my opinion. I just love this movie, like everything about it from beginning to end. I don't find it boring. I said I get a little bit exaggerated because it's annoying when they do the camera check, and then at the end you're like, well, why is this person surviving when I like that other guy? And they do some really cool immersion into Dante's Inferno. One of my favorite fucking scenes in the movie. All right, spoilers, okay? Because this is probably the best scene in the movie. One of the guys who I wanted to live, Papillon, he gets near the end of the movie, but he gets to this place and you see this glow, and there's a car on fire. And this is what I mean about your inner demon. So the car's on fire, he looks, and there's a person in the back seat burning, turning towards the camera or him, and Pap says, "It wasn't my fault." Whereas in another scene, one of the characters embraces it and goes, "I'm sorry. I didn't know you were in so much pain," like that type thing. So just the attitude, the thought patterns of going into this thing, seeing this tragedy from his past, his first instinct was, it's not my fault. He gets dragged by an unseen force to the car. The fire guy grabs him. People are trying to save him and grab him. They wind up grabbing him by the legs as he slides away, and the car, the flames, the flaming kid, and Pap gets sucked into the ground, and all that's left is his feet from like mid-calf upside down, sticking out of the ground. It is fucking amazing. And it is a call to one of the things in Dante's Inferno. I'm not going to pretend I'm a fucking, I know everything about Dante's Inferno and all the fucking things. Although there is the sins and, going all the way down to get out the bottom, that it's paralleled in this movie, but it's nothing that is adhered to where I think it ruins the movie or, goes too far in a certain way. I love the blending of Indiana Jones, Tomb Raider, National Treasure, right? That's a fun movie, but it's not going to get critical acclaim. As Above, So Below is a great movie, in my opinion. Underrated. Should have gotten way more critical acclaim. I get movies don't do too well here and there, but I think this movie tried and succeeded for me in a way so many movies try and just fail. So many movies using franchise names, going by this fucking, I don't know, paint by the numbers type formula, enough loud bangs and I'm going to get horror enthusiastic people to love my movie. No, I love a movie like this. It makes you think, it makes you feel, it makes you see a character, a selfish bitch, come full circle and, the confidence is there, the smarts are there, but they reconcile, they have to grow and have to learn to own up to their own personal sins. And I think it's a great twist on, because there's a scene where they get to the end and there's a chair and, in Dante's Inferno, you can meet these demons and all these things. You got the catacombs and there are elements of that put into this that are done fabulously. As a matter of fact, we can go 3 hours, maybe 6 hours, just going into what the movie is saying and what it's trying to take from Dante's Inferno to impart on a new generation, a new twist on this tale that could be important. See, to me, I don't say I fancy myself a writer. I wrote one novel, got published, and I love playing D&D, and I've been writing adventures for all role-playing aspects, Star Wars, Marvel, superheroes, D&D. And I really love the aspect of this movie where they tried to do something, they took elements, and it surprises me, quite frankly, because almost everybody I show this movie to loves it. And not in a, oh, you're my friend, I love it movie, but it's a movie you talk about and get different impressions from, but still gel and forms around this concept. A pretty cool concept in general. Oh, someone's on a quest for the Philosopher's Stone. She's beautiful, charming, endearing, selfish, whatever. Meets an ex-boyfriend to get him involved. You got a documentarian. You get a small group that knows the catacombs that's going to bring him in for half the treasure. And that's another little joke because Scarlett's like, I don't want the treasure. You can have it all. And then Ben's like, no, you can have half. Half is good. Anyway, As Above, So Below is a 2014 underrated movie. It's up there with some of my favorite movies. And sometimes when I try to be honest and I say, oh, this movie might not be for me or different aspects, or I'll even say, I love this movie, but it's not that good. I think this movie is very good, incredible in my opinion. And trying to be critical, I think it's at the very least, a very good movie. Which takes chances on playing with this concept of bringing Dante's Inferno, into the storyline and how you're putting these inner demons, your inner struggles. And again, it doesn't have to be, oh, I robbed a bank and, I killed somebody. I've never owned up to it. It's not just that, or that could be one of them. Because Pap obviously had a car crash and someone burned in the car or something like that, and he's not owning up to it. But when you're in a cave with a kid and your little brother and he drowns because you're going to get help, it's not things that you've done wrong, but these are things that you carry with you that you brought into these catacombs. And again, like Dante's Inferno, you have to go through it. And I thought it was a genius camera tricks that they do, especially the last scene of the movie. And I love this ride from beginning to end. You know, like I said, I could be honest and say, yeah, I see the elements that you could start to say, oh, my friend might not like this. It's a little slow, but it's not this type of movie. And that's fine. And I'm never here to say whether you liked the movie or didn't like the movie is going to be a right or wrong thing. And that whole subjective objective thing could be interesting, but how much you enjoy the movie, how much you can rewatch it, because there are some great movies I never want to watch again. Like, I have no interest. It took me like 17 times to get through The Godfather, because I don't care. Like, I'm not interested. I've watched Goodfellas, right? And another mafia. Like, I don't care. They don't make me go back and watch them again. Now, I would say comedies do that a lot for me. You know, I got to watch every year, you know, Pineapple Express, Elf, and, you know, do my Cheech and Chong run. The Hangover's up there and there now. And, you know, I talk about that too on my podcast, like the feel, the mood I'm in. I, I can't say enough about this movie, how much I really love it. A journey, a quest, it's spiritual growth, if you want to call it that, and, you know, emotional journey and a real physical challenge, which is ridiculous because you're going into the, and I don't know nothing. I like camping. That's it. Survival knife. I learned a little about survival, whatever. But you're going into this fucking cave system. Everybody should have the best gloves and boots and, well, okay, I can't blame Benji, the ex-boyfriend, because right from the beginning he's like, I'm not going. I'm not going in. I'm not going in. I'm not going in. I'm not going in. And you find out when he's in, his little brother died in a cave, and from the second they're at the cave entrance, she's like, "Oh no, 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 I'm not going in." And then the cops come and force him to flee into the caves, which is kind of ridiculous, because one of the stories about the movie is if me and my friends went to France right now and we illegally went into these catacombs, because people still do it apparently and still get lost, and I don't like the idea of doing stupid shit and having people pay the bill to come find you and search for you for days or weeks. And this goes with the mountain climbing and cave fucking diving. There's always fucking tragedies. But yeah, he doesn't want to go. He's not going. The cops come. Now, all you would do is get like a ticket or a summons. That's it. But these cops are like going to tackle you and fucking kill you, apparently. I don't know. But they flee into the hole, and then Benji's caught up and everything. He doesn't have the boots. He doesn't have a headlamp. And one of the women who's in it, they're talking, and he's like, what are the dangers? He's like, oh, if you have no batteries, you die, and because you need everything. And there were some little twists and turns. There's a character that comes out of nowhere who's been missing, Latope or whatever the fuck, and right away you're like, get the fuck out of here. Like, how do you survive down here? Which is fine, because if you got the catacombs and someone tells me, oh, he lived down there for years, I get it. Living in New York, you got the underground shit in the Manhattan. People live in the, tunnels and, homeless people in that sense, cold people. I can see you being able to live in there. And, you come out and go in, obviously. But when they're confronted with a chamber and they're like, no, let's go this way. And Papa's like, no, we don't go that way. We got to go this way. We got to crawl through bones that'll cut you, and rats will bite you and shit to get where we're going. But we're not going to go that way because that's evil. And, what are they, I think it's Lateau. Why am I'm going to have to look now. Oh yeah, Lateau, whatever. He says, no, that's, how do you know that's not evil or drowning and whatever? He says, our friend lived down here. He knew every corridor, never went down there, but eventually he had to, and he disappeared. It was like 2 years. So when he shows up again, you're like, all right, what the fuck is going on? Now, again, my brain tells me if you in Riverside Park in Manhattan and you see the entrance to these old train station railway lines that aren't being used, you're going to find communities out down there. So I wouldn't be surprised in a sense that, yeah, Latope is surviving, but he comes out and he begs on the street and, he goes through garbage pails, brings it back to whatever. That concept, which is not pretty, but he comes out of nowhere. He's like, "Oh, I'll show you the way out." And I don't know. I thought this was the way out. And there's so much layers to this movie. I love it. You can get real deep. You can do deep dives for hours. I remember, I don't know, less than 2 years ago, I did like a 9 hour dive. I mean, I watched people's interpretations of the movie. I watched the literal, more Dante's Inferno comparisons. This movie is a gem, in my opinion. This movie should be watched. I recommend this to everybody. It's not gonna. It's scary. Yes, it's somewhat terrifying in certain aspects. If that's what scares you, yes. I don't want to be in a fucking cave system where every hole gets smaller and smaller, where you have to go through. Sometimes there's water up to your fucking ankles, to your knees, and this girl is fucking Tomb Raider, so she's fucking diving into waters, finding new chambers, finding the fucking treasure, finding the Philosopher's Stone, first of all, and how it is done is awesome, in my opinion. Another little spoiler thing. So she finds the Philosopher's Stone, the treasure. She pries the Philosopher's Stone off. They're going for the other people going for the treasure, and she's like, "No, it's a trap." It collapses. It buries Latope, who teleports to another place, but that's another fucking story. And Susie, whatever the fucking name is, gets hurt, and fucking Scarlet just scrapes off some of the Philosopher's Stone and magically heals the fucking arm. And it's like, what? Later, it doesn't work, and she says it's because you can't bring back the dead. So they try to use it on a character who dies. It doesn't work. But again, it happens where someone's actually hurt, and it doesn't work. And it leads to a moment that I just fucking love. Because she goes, "Oh, I gotta put the stone back." It's just a one-shot bullshit stone. Or is it? And she goes, "I gotta bring back the stone. I gotta rectify my taking of the stone." So she's gotta go all the way back. And I tell you, the journey they went on, because they're going deeper and deeper. She's got to climb up. She's stiff-arming fucking wall zombie demons. And it's fucking awesome. I don't want to give one of the major spoilers away, but I thought it was fucking great. Then they got to get out, right? Does anybody survive? Is there any camera footage of this shit? I thought it was done well, sweet at times, terrifying. It's got elements of everything put together just the way I like it. Again, I try to be honest. Like, I think almost everybody's going to love this movie. Some people are going to say, "Oh, it's not my type of movie. It's a little slow here and there." But that's how movies are going to be. I've heard people tell me that about the Silence of the Lambs. Maybe one of the greatest movies ever made. Or Seven. Just fucking riveting. That ending was, I gotta do podcasts on those shit too. But As Above, So Below, a gem. I love this movie. I recommend everybody to watch it. It's got a little bit of everything. Indiana Jones, Tomb Raider, fucking biblical, spiritual, supernatural. Is it real? Is it not? This is done well. The cast, I love them all, integrating them, watching little character growths. Some people, like, you don't know why the fuck things are going on, and it doesn't need it. Not every person gets to explain what their inner demon is. So you don't know what's going on, but you can extrapolate, you can think on it because of what they do give you. And that's a great movie, in my opinion. It gives me enough. It makes my brain work. And I'm fucking super happy. And man, I could watch it. I watch this movie a lot. Matter of fact, okay, so one of the things I like to do, a little personal thing, one of my favorite bands, Queensryche, another underrated. Well, they did have their moment. I'll sometimes go on and go Queensryche reaction, and I want to see people, new people, watching Jeff Tate sing "Take Hold of the Flame" live in 1984. Oh my God, what a fuck! Might be one of the greatest performances I've ever seen. But I sometimes will do that for certain movies, and I do that with As Above, So Below. You don't do that for a lot of movies. Like search As Above, So Below reaction, and then you watch people reacting to the movie. It's a different feel from watching someone comment or do like me right now. But imagine you're watching it with me, and one of the gimmicks is, and which is a legit one, is first time reaction. So I get that element of it. But you can go deep diving and get different theories and the theory crafting, the way it's thought up. I think this is a fucking amazing movie. As Above, So Below ranks up there with my favorite movies. It doesn't have a super killer, you know, you know, I could, I'm trying to think like if you're a franchise, could you take this franchise and run with it? I guess you could, in the sense of you can keep maybe bringing people into the catacombs because the people go there, right? And it's a natural thing to explore. And then the theme of the movies would be everybody's inner demons somehow comes back and kills them, right? So with Papillon, he's in a burning car, and suck them in. But one of the cool things about that moment is, if you think about it, what if Papillon, when the car was burning, he was being dragged in, his first words were, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. It was my fault. I was drinking. I'm so sorry." I don't think he would have died. I don't think he would have died. But his first thing was, it wasn't my fault. He wasn't owning it. And man, again, like I said, sometimes you don't know what people's backstories are. You don't even get a hint at it. But are the elements there? Did Benji die because no, I keep getting them wrong, right? Oh man, I think I might have fucked up. I'm gonna look real quick. The actor Ben is George. He's the ex-boyfriend who gets pulled into this. Edwin Hodge is Benji, the documentarian, the cameraman. That's all. Whatever. It might be a little confusing, but we don't know why Benji really dies, and the way he dies is weird. But that's a hint. We can talk for an hour about spoilers. He's at the top of the fucking hole with a line going in. Everybody's climbing down. You tie up, you put your pit in it, whatever the fuck they do. And he's like, "Yeah, good." He yells down. He's gonna come down, but he hears something, and you hear a baby cry. Then you see the woman who just stares at everybody, a beautiful woman, tall, and she fucking walks by. And then as the camera pans, and it gets you, because it's a good jump scare, a woman with a baby in her arms pushes him and he falls down in one of the gruesomest scenes. In the movie, he just fucking lands and dies. And he leaves you thinking, what did Benji do? What inner demon? Remember, it doesn't have to be something wrong. Because one of the guys who survives goes, his rectifying is, "I have a child. I know it's mine, but I deny it." So he knows he had a baby with someone, and whatever the circumstances are, either she doesn't know he's the father, he knows he's a deadbeat dad. But when Benji dies with the woman who has the baby in her arms, what did he do? Did Did he get into a car crash and they died? Did he leave them? Did he cheat on her? And we don't know. Was he a bad dad? Was he abused? You don't know. But if you don't rectify your inner demons, hell is going to claim you. And it's done so well. At the end with the chair and the guy who's walking in the distance. Was that Satan? Are we going to see the Lords of Hell? And you don't get too crazy like that. I think it's done sophisticated, cerebrally, in the right way, but enough elements of the treasure hunt and the puzzle solving. It's all in there. Maybe not for everybody, but I do recommend everybody watch the fucking movie. Like, it's one of those movies I want you to watch, and I want people to watch. There is value in it. And that's a big plus for me when you're talking about someone who does love the 13 fucking, Michael Halloween movies and Friday the 13th, the Nightmare on Elm Streets, to whatever, even Scream, real slaughter type, idiot murder type people. Doesn't have to be supernatural or a killer that you don't know why he doesn't die. And no, this one is you're going on a journey. If you don't fucking come to terms with your past perceived sins, whatever those demons are inside you, you're not getting out. Oh man, it's so fucking cool. There's a scene, they come across a piano and George is like, oh, we had a piano when I was younger. Me and my brother used to play it. We only knew one song, Bonnie Lays Over the Ocean, but we couldn't finish it because the A4 key was fucked up. So, of course, he starts playing the song, and the A4 key is fucked up, and a phone starts ringing, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And someone's like, oh, no, this section could have fell, because there were real parts of the city that fell into the ground. Oh, there's so much real history entwined into this movie. Just adds to it, in my opinion. Like I said, this is a movie you could do 4, 5, 6 hour podcast on. You can get into the correlations and comparisons to the book or the Dante's Inferno, and start talking about what layer of hell were they in, what zone or whatever the fuck you want to call it, were they in relation to the original stories. What was the motivation and driving force in some of these places? Because Leto seems to be a guide and trying to get them somewhere, and then later he's a maniac. So is he just angry that you never went looking for him and found him, but he's trying to help you get out? But when he gets to this other section, he's a violent, murderous type person. Was he ever real? Was anything related to this fucking catacombs real? Okay, I'm going to end this podcast, but I just love this fucking movie. When the movie starts out, Scarlett is going to Iraq. She's going to get in danger. They have to catch her, blah, 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 blah. She goes to find a Rosetta Stone, and she sees a person hanging. Now, this is her father later, and then it's like an apparition. It disappears. Was she already caught up in the catacomb stuff? Remember, this is all not only a psychological event or journey and a real physical one like the catacombs, but, sometimes we joke when I write stories or I watch like Star Trek, cause and effect could sometimes not really match up. Effect can precede cause, let's say in a time experiment, right? A bomb goes off, it destroys you, but you find out that in the future you were trying to help a civilization, and that caused an explosion that traveled back in time. So you're getting the effect before the it's like I love shit like that. It just blows your mind, my mind. Anyway, it would be my sort of writing technique if I fucking had one. And they go through this fucking place to go see Papillon in this club in France, and they see the woman who just stares, a beautiful woman, and they see her again in the catacombs, part of the cult. As soon as they enter, like one of the first things. Was that any of that real? Now, the guy who tells them to go see Papillon in the first place when they're doing the legit tour of the catacombs with, like, city workers, you find out, spoilers, that that's the kid burning in the back of the car. Were they getting them to go in the catacombs to right these wrongs? And it just makes me so happy to think and talk about, what if Pap would have said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. It's my fault. I should have been smarter. I should have listened to you, that type thing, instead of going, it wasn't my fault. Would he have lived? Oh, As Above, So Below. Directed by John Eric Dowdy. You should get lots of credit. It stars Perdita Weeks, Ben Feldman, Edwin Hodge, Franco Civil, Marion Lambert, Ali Mathama, Pablo Nicoméndez. Yeah, I'm just going to keep fucking going, right? I mean, God, I love this movie. As Above, So Below. Watch it. I totally recommend it. It's a scary, thoughtful movie, and a great journey. All right, everybody. I think that'll be it for me with this one. I don't know how I'll edit and where I'm slipping this in. Sometimes I take a week off and I'll have maybe two done already, but circumstances don't allow me to, really do what I want to do. In any case, I'll put some other ones that I mentioned that are on my channel soon. I hope everybody's doing well. Take care.